So in my previous career, my career in law enforcement, I worked a great deal with the homeless. We partnered with several agencies in downtown St. Paul to be able to provide for these people and to establish a safe environment for them and for the community that surrounded them. I was often reminded what Jesus said when he stated that the poor will always be with us. I felt we wouldn't solve all of this, but that we could do our part to help. I was also very cognizant of the fact that in the poor and in the homeless, we would always find Christ himself. So one spring afternoon, we had a meeting with many of the homeless living at then the Dorothy Day Center to talk about the summer that was to come. I wanted to listen to them, but I also wanted to address some of the concerns that people had in the community. And I remember in our discussion, I had emphasized for them that they could not be using the city fountains to clean up, and they couldn't use the parks to go to the bathroom. There was a hand that went up in the back of the crowd. I'm never going to forget it. And a man said to me, "Do you think that we like doing this? We have dignity just like everyone else. It's just that none of the businesses will let us use their bathrooms, and it's hard to find a place to get clean." I found myself humbled. Was I seeing him? Was I seeing him as a person or something else? And I felt that I had a big heart for these people, but did I? I had to ask myself, did I really? Granted, there are laws to be enforced, a quality of life to be maintained for all. And that's what I told myself. But this man in the back of the room opened my eyes, and I'll never forget him. And in today's gospel, we have something of the same thing. We see the life of two different individuals, Lazarus and the rich man. The rich man in the gospel has fine clothes, fine food. He's of the elite of society. The poor man is destitute. He's homeless. He's full of ulcers. He's hoping for something to eat, but he has to compete with the dogs. He is ignored. He is not seen as a person. He is not acknowledged. Both die, the rich man going to Hades and Lazarus to Abraham or to heaven. And the rich man is pleading for water, asking for Lazarus to bring it to him. He still, even in death, doesn't see him as a person. He even asks Lazarus to be sent to warn his brothers. Still, he is looked at as a slave. You know, as you probably know, I had this opportunity to go on a 30-day retreat. And one of the meditations, I spoke about it at a daily mass, was a meditation on hell. And it was interesting in Ignatian spirituality that God doesn't put us there. We put ourselves there because we close ourselves off from seeing others. We shut ourselves off from loving others. We turn ourselves off from giving to others. So much so that God loves us so much that he would even want to take us out of there, but we won't allow it because we still can't love when we're there, and we see it in this reading. even in Hades, even in hell, the rich man doesn't see Lazarus as his brother. He can't love him. And you know, there's a part of this reading too, there's so much here in this gospel, but it is true that it is a matter of life and death that can't be overlooked, that there is a chasm there. Seeing people for who they are, poor, hungry, without shelter. It's what we are challenged to. We are challenged with actions to take, to do something about it, to do something for them. And we also need to do something else. We need to put faces on the poor and those in need. And this was the rich man's plight. Indifference, looking the other way. He had the means to take action. He had the means to love Lazarus as a brother, and he couldn't, and he wouldn't. Here at St. Ambrose, I can tell you, this is an incredibly generous and charitable parish, and I know it from being on the social outreach committee. We hear you support and help people who simply walk in off the street, who need groceries or a gas card to get to the doctor. We support food shelves, homeless shelters, street ministries, in particular the Franciscan Brothers, life centers, so much more. Last year, I don't know if we brought it home to you as much as we should have. We collected a record number of gift cards for families who couldn't buy their children Christmas gifts. We have done clothing drives, school supply drives, and I could keep going. This parish is so generous. But there's something that we have to keep in mind. Following Christ, we are never done. And we should surrender to that thought and to his love. We are called to share of what we have with those who don't have enough. It is part of our journey with Christ, and we should do so with joy and with love.